What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Kiss Capades podcast. I have a very special guest with me today, and I just want her to quickly introduce herself and what she does, and we can start this podcast off.
Okay, so I'm Juspreeet,
Yeah.
and I'm a third year hospitality student.
Yeah.
Right now I'm on attachment or internship at Serena Hotel,
Yeah.
Nairobi.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's it. I'm an Indian,
Mm-hmm.
born and brought up here.
Yeah.
And I think that's it. I think I'm just me. I mean, what else would you want to know?
No. We'll get to that. We'll get
yeah?
to that. Yeah. So I mean, just you reach out to me through the
Yes.
podcast, and you're a listener, and that's how I even get most of my guests. You're a listener. A couple of episodes just off camera, we've talked that were interesting to you and stuff.
Yeah, very, yeah.
And the whole just idea of the podcast is just people coming together, having conversations. It's those coffee house conversations that you never
Yeah.
get to eavesdrop on.
I tell you.
Yeah. But you kind of get to hear people listening, or just people who are just approaching life in just different
different
perspectives, from different cultures in different ways. All these little things that people don't really like to talk about, yet they do affect, especially the new generation.
Yes. yeah,
Social
the
media has
millennials.
brought all of us just together.
yeah.
So the old generation, I mean, I'm sorry for you guys. You didn't get to experience this, so I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll just focus on health, wealth, love, and happiness. The conversation will evolve around that. So let's just start off with, how did you come across the podcast, and which was your favorite episode before we get to the personals?
You know what happened?
Mhm.
Because I'm an Instagram user, so I think I came across you through, when you're scrolling through the news feed and all.
Yeah.
And then I'd seen a few of your episodes with people that I kind of knew on Instagram, and
Yeah.
not personally, but just following them. There
Yeah.
was Shivani, there was Sam, and then there's Warimu, the one I just saw the whole episode and I was just mind blown, because for me, people, I was never sure people were willing to talk about such things in Nairobi.
Yeah.
You see these things in UK, I watch in America, I watch so many podcasts where people are talking about these things
Openly,
but-
without
yeah,
just
but they need to be
Yeah.
when I see podcasts, I feel like people need to be famous to be there. People need to have been of 25 age, or you need to have a certain age, certain stuff in career that you need to be on a podcast. But when I saw Warimu, when I saw Sam, when I saw Shivani's,
you see the variation of
and there was
just.
also these two South African ladies.
Oh, they were crazy.
They were
They're my friends.
crazy.
They're coming back. They're coming
That's
back
nice.
in August,
I can't
actually.
wait to see another episode.
Yeah.
And when I saw the way you were talking to them, and them, they come from South Africa, and even though their story is different, and
Yeah.
one was working with Nivea, I had heard,
Yeah.
and I just saw you, and I'm like, I need to talk to this guy.
Hey.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I always live off energy.
Yeah.
The energy that you produce. Even though this is the first time I met you today
Yeah.
in the morning.
But doesn't it feel like
yeah,
we?
it feels like we've known each other for years. And I
Yeah.
like that clicking moment with somebody.
Yeah.
And I always even encourage people around me, if you don't know the person, try and
just go out of your way.
Take the
Just
risk.
try
Yeah.
be the nice person who's
Person.
going out of your way. Because there's so much disconnect now with just that one-on-one kind of
Yeah,
conversation.
yeah.
Because everything is online.
Online, yeah.
Online. So you're talking to 30 people at the same time. So just I'm sure that's what is even attracting people just on the podcast. They're like, oh wow, these people have just met, and this is the kind of
Yeah,
exchange that they're having.
yeah.
They're talking about life, relationships, how you make money, things that
Yeah.
are depressing to you. So I mean, it's just.
And that's how I came. So I thought, will you really reply to my DMs? That's what
I
I thought.
reply to all my
you
DMs.
You do, but I didn't know that, because
Yeah.
I was like an outsider till you replied.
Yeah.
And I texted you after I watched a few clips from episodes, not a
Yeah.
full episode,
Yeah.
just a few clips, and I was like, wait, he's talking about women, he's talking about respect, he's talking about culture. I was like, this is
Yeah.
everything I've always wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
I do talk about it with my friends, but you can go to a certain extent with your friends, because you
And
feel
then
like
they're
you can offend
this
them.
is too boring, man.
Yeah.
Why are you talking about
Yeah.
this all the time? Yeah.
And you also feel like you're offending them sometimes,
Yeah.
because some of them are not very open-minded. I love all my
Yeah.
friends.
No,
I'm not
true.
going to say that all my friends
Even
are
for me, I have
horrible,
friends who are
you know?
when you hear them talking, you're like, what? What? Yeah,
What
so
do
I
you
understand.
say?
Yeah.
And some people's life really, it revolves around social acceptance.
Yeah.
And it revolves around work. And so when I met you, I was like, wait, this guy is ready to talk about everything and anything. And I'm such a believer in let's talk about life. Let's talk about what the things that are important to all of us.
Mhm.
And I never knew, like, even till right now in the morning, I was like, oh my God, what are we going to talk about? But then I met you and I was like, wait, we can relate on so many things.
And there's so much to talk about.
Yeah.
How long have we talked off
just
off camera?
So
I was just like, we should have been talking about all these things and stuff.
Now we'll have to repeat ourselves.
Kind of, yeah. We can always bounce back and forth on that. So, like, what are some of the issues that you just picked up on the podcast that you were like, this I would like to talk about this most likely?
I think of the whole like concept of like relationships and culture and misunderstandings and communication as a whole.
Yeah.
And especially mental health is always been a thing I've always drifted upon. Like I've always gone back to it, even though like I read a lot of books.
Yeah.
So like The Secret and like the universe, and I'm a spiritual person like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I always, when you were talking about like culture and you're talking about respect, and it really got me like, oh my God, someone is willing to talk about that openly.
Yeah, cause a lot of people like just try and skip on that conversation. And that's what's like now, that's the main thing, that like people connecting in so many different ways. Yeah. That you can't avoid it. So how can you avoid talking about like culture?
Yeah,
that's why
for me, I was brought up here, and I'm from an Indian family, and I always went to a small school.
Yeah.
And first I bounced from one school to another school because I wasn't too good in grades.
Mischievous?
No, not actually. It was just like I was already in a school till standard 4, and then I saw that I needed special attention in certain way. You know when you're in a big school and there's so many kids in one class.
Yeah, that you can't even.
There's no attention given to you, and my both parents have been working. They have working for different people, and when they're not self-employed, so they can't be like sitting at home and tutoring me on these simple things, and even though they try their hardest, so then sooner or later my mom's like, no, we need to put her in a small school where at least they give some attention to her. So I moved to a school in Westlands. It's a small school, and I moved there. I did standard 4 to standard 6. So I really got comfortable, being in a small environment, like knowing a few people, the teachers knowing you knowing the teachers. And then from there I finished standard 6. I went to a high school. Now that's where
and then that's where
real now.
What happened in high school?
So my high school today, if someone was to talk about my high school,
today
if someone was talked about my high school, they'll call it the school for dropouts.
What?
Imagine. That's what the school is. And I won't say the name. I'll tell you privately because I still have to get documents from that school.
Oh, yeah.
So let's not go there.
Yeah, let's not just put some barriers where you might still need some people.
I still need people, yeah. So, and right now, if I was to tell you the name, some people would tell me that's a school for dropouts. But when I was there, when I joined in like 2013, somewhere there, I was just a girl who literally came from a small place, people living together, and you come to a school, which was amazing. The people were amazing. But let me tell you something, John. I entered that school with 10 people. We were together. Admission day, you go together, 10 people. We became really close. And the end of my years 11, that's 5 years later, I was the only one from that batch remaining.
Everybody else had
expelled, suspended, dropped out because of certain issues.
What was wrong with that school?
The school faculty was amazing. It's just that people took advantage of being in such a location. It was a small school, and then of course, drugs, relationships, parents come inside.
You guys were doing drugs in high school?
Not me. Let me put a disclaimer out there.
Not me.
I've never taken drugs, and I don't take alcohol. And I think where I came to this conclusion, John is like mind blown right now.
No, but I'm just saying because I don't know whether you saw. Don't forget your chain of thought. But don't. Did you see my episode with Nandi?
No, I didn't.
You haven't seen the cocaine episode?
No. I came across it and I'm like, oh my God.
You need popcorn.
Really?
And a lot of free time to just...
Seriously?
Yeah, because she went through like just everything that you can think of. And she bounced back from heroin, coke, crystal meth.
She's telling you the story?
Yeah.
Wow.
The prizes, all those things and everything. Oh yeah. I mean, to a point I was just like...
You were like
maybe
shocked.
No, I was just like, maybe I need to try some of these drugs you're talking about. Maybe. But she was just open with it, and just like so many people just reached out from that episode. and they were talking about like how they have relatives, friends who've like OD'd and everything.
Yeah.
So like that really connected to them. And even some people now say like, now we understand how we can deal with addicts, because I have a friend who's going through this.
Wow.
And now I have
It's
a
like
better
knowledge.
understanding. Yeah, it's knowledge.
Yeah.
Not just for people who
Through
do
it.
drugs,
Yeah.
but like even family. Like you have
Yeah.
to understand like it's actually a disease. It's not just something
It's
that
not like you're doing it for fun, because sometimes when you do it for fun, it becomes something that you really, it's like an escape.
you can't like really control everything. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's just okay. It's just interesting to hear like, you know, you're talking about
High school and,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
drugs, imagine.
and people getting expelled because of
Yeah.
like
relationships, and they're not knowing their priorities in life, you know, like,
get expelled because of a relationship.
you know, it's like you're doing certain things that are not like allowed in high school. Like you're
Like
you're
what?
not bunking classes, everybody does
Holding
that.
hands in school.
No, not even that. It's like your parents get involved. So the parents tell us the principal, oh, you're not supposed to let these two people come together. And there was all these problems of like,
Yeah.
they would be like fights because there are two groups of people, or two groups different, who want to fight with each other because of ego, and it was
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
And then from being in a high school where me and two other girls were the only 10 of us, they
Yeah.
were also into these things. But I ended up surviving those 5 years with a lot of deaths in my family, unfortunately.
With
but
a lot of what?
deaths,
Oh.
people passing away. But I survived it because for me, my mom and dad they're very independent people,
Yeah.
and they come from a background where like they, first of all, their family didn't give them anything, you know, like, take this is for you,
Yeah.
you can survive on this, like
Yeah.
a car or a building, or you know.
Yeah.
And they came up with everything. They brought us, you know, up, me and my sister, we're only two of us. And so for me, I was very clear from day one that I need to pass and I need to move on. Like,
Yeah, you
from
know,
high
you
school.
actually, yeah, like
I
you-
need
you-
to, even though in our finals we were only 5 in one class, 5 doing O-level exams, 5.
But I mean,
Yeah, and I couldn't escape it because I was
Yeah.
so comfortable in high school, like in this environment. You know, you kind of like grow to this environment, and you know, if you move in a certain period of high school to another place, like another school, you'd have to get registered again. You have to get comfortable with the environment.
Yeah.
So I just decided to go with it. I decided let's just do my O-level and I'll be gone. No one is going to tell me to stay here. And you
Yeah.
know, in this period of 5 years, I had my cousins come in to the same high school as me. So that also brought up, like, people started knowing a personal side of me, you know, like my nickname. No one would call me by my real name, you know, like certain. But yes, I still talk to a few of my high school friends, even though they were expelled from that school, or even though
the drug dealers.
Yeah, no, they're not drug
Okay.
dealers.
Okay.
They're gonna watch this and they're like, you
No,
call
no,
us
no.
drug dealers?
No,
No, they're not drug dealers.
Yeah, no.
They're
Just those people you got.
they've
at
gone
the-
through different experiences
Yeah,
in life.
yeah.
And I broke off with a lot of them, a lot of my friends,
Yeah.
because of certain reasons. You know, I'm a person who I get really attached very, very quickly, unfortunately. And I'm trying throughout the short life that I've lived
Yeah.
to try and not do that, because you know, we as humans we get dependent on somebody. You start getting
Yeah.
expectations.
Yeah.
And
And then when they don't do that for them,
Yeah,
you just
you
start
feel
feeling like,
yeah.
and to
you
them
feel
maybe they
bad.
don't feel the same way. I mean, they don't feel like they need to reciprocate. Yet
Yeah.
you expecting that. So
You know, my mom always tells me something. She's like, they're always givers and takers
True.
in this life. And for me, okay, people might say differently, but I'm a giver. And I would never take something like emotionally. I'm talking about emotionally. Physical and material things is different.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not an emotional taker. I'll always give. And that's where I really got, in high school, that's where I really got put down, because I would give, and then I would be taken advantage of.
you don't get anything in
Yeah.
return. And and
take
advantage of course.
a
Yeah.
lot, because you know, I was always in different groups. I would be with you, John, and then I would also be with the different
Yeah.
people, and then everybody be like, how can she be with everybody? How is she so? How can you be all like, you know, being with the people?
But
who,
that's me as
you
well.
know, yeah. And people, I was always with the bad guy. I wouldn't call them bad guys, but okay, people would say the
Yeah.
bad influence, and also with the good influence.
You just fit in everywhere, and
the
you just seem
teachers
to be
would love
comfortable.
me. Yeah, and I still talk to some of the teachers and the faculty, the principal. Everybody loved me, and it's not that I would force them like, oh, you have to like me, you know.
Yeah.
It would be like a certain of like, she knows where she's coming from, and you know, everything. I had a strong foundation that way, and that's how I survived high school. And I still only talk to one person from my high school, just one.
Yeah.
Because some of them I disconnected with. As I was telling you, you come to a certain period after high school where you feel like, people used to tell me, John, high school are the friends you're going to be with forever, and you know,
Lies.
like, and you try and make the best bonds, but then you feel like once you get into college, you know, and people don't even, like, people get, for some of them are too jealous, or some of them can't control that you're too busy, and you know, all these things. And I was, at that moment, I just finished high school, and then my mom, you know, I passed, thankfully, and
thank God.
Yes, thank God.
Yeah.
And I didn't fly with flying colors, it was just average.
Yeah. Passing is good enough.
Yeah. And then my mom and my dad, being them, they always want the best for me, and they told me, you know, I did travel and tourism in school. It was like a subject, and I did a project for Emirates. I was the highest in East Africa for that project. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I don't tell that. I don't tell that to people.
No. Listen, but hey, some of the good things that you listen. I was telling somebody on this podcast, I don't know, like a few weeks ago. I mean, people have to stop downplaying on the good things that they actually, their achievements. Because now, what do you want to share? Do you want to share about like the things that you were miserable or failed on? You need to share those because they boost you and they keep like motivating you.
True.
So the more you talk about them, the more you think like, okay, I now need to achieve more than I actually did on this.
So I was really good at travel and tourism.
Yeah.
So my teacher in high school who taught us travel and tourism, she knew, like, and she would always push me like, do this. So after I got out of there, we started looking for colleges, and then I knew that I wanted to do hospitality. So we looked at colleges, and then I eventually came down to one of these international colleges. It's in Kileleshwa. It's called International Hotel and Tourism Institute. So I came across it, and we went for this open day. So, you know, when I check out the website of this college, there's another friend of mine from high school who's on the website, and you know, it's such Kenyan mentality. When you see somebody on the website, you're like, oh my God, she's there, I need to go check it out, because you're like, if somebody can survive that college, I can be there. So I went to the open day and I loved it. You know, it's a small college, but we're well known, and you know, I loved it. But then, John, I didn't know what I was signing up for.
Really?
I didn't know.
No, wait, what happened? What happened?
Okay, the first semester, you know, as I told you, I came from
I thought this story was going in a really nice place.
Direction.
And then you're like, okay, plot twist.
You know what? First of all, a lot of people misunderstand me for being like a rich kid, and I'm not from Kenya.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think it's all people just see physical. You see, like the color,
of course. And, it's always fast. It starts with complexion first of all. But
So I started college, and then, John, you know, we are so many together. So people, like, the intake was for September, so we came like 50 of us. Now some of us are doing management, some of us are doing culinary arts, so I'm doing management. Okay. So now what happens, we are divided, because culinary arts do kitchen and we do management. So now management we're little and culinary arts are a lot. So the first year you have to be together, all of you. And it was hard to make friends. And I'm one of those people who I drive from somebody else's energy. Yeah, and I need people to you know, people really judge, and I feel like sometimes when I'm a judgeful person, but still I felt like they would keep you know, some of them want to hang out, some of them don't want to, so it was hard. The first semester was really hard. I was like doubting, do I really want to do this? But then we got to the last semester, and then I went for an internship, and then I worked at Sorova Pan-Afric for I think 3 months. Now my second year, and now I'm doing attachment again. So for this, it's been a roller coaster. It's been a roller coaster.
Let's talk about the roller coaster. What are these problems you're talking about? Cause
when you feel, I've always heard
I think. Okay. Just don't forget your chain of thought, because don't forget what you're about to say. You see how times, like, let's say when you're in high school, you have all these expectations about, like, when you go to a work environment and everything, you're like, oh yes, finally I can say, like, I'm in a work environment, and you know, independent, people will respect me, people will appreciate me. The work environment, it's something that I've been looking forward to for the longest time. Is it what you expected when, you know?
When I joined for internship? Okay, but you know, trainees we're obviously treated differently.
Yeah.
But it was tough. working in a hotel, even though we're training, but either way, you're still treated somewhat like an employee, except you're not paid because this is Africa and they don't pay trainees. But you still get staff meals, and you still have to come early and leave when work finishes. So I think for me, the first month of working in the real environment, I was not even legal by then. Like legal, like getting an ID, I wasn't by then. So for me, it was like.
Okay. You see just me nodding my head. I'm like, okay.
So I wasn't even with an ID.
Yeah.
But I had gotten police clearance under my parents, and so the hotel agreed. Because I went for an interview, and the guy, he was a good guy. I think he was the training manager or something, and he kind of interviewed me, and he liked my spirit. Like I really wanted to. I didn't mind them sending me anywhere to train.
You really want to learn. They can see it in you. Yeah.
And so I got in, thankfully, and there were a lot of people who were nice to me, like the other trainees, because we come in from different colleges. There's so many hospitality colleges in Kenya. Yeah. So and then the working hours, the hard work, the flexibility, and the characters you would meet. Like, I was
now you start actually meeting people.
And people, okay, some are accepting. Like some have questions like, how did you get into this industry? Why would you want to work as a hospitality person? There's so many jobs out there, and especially you can be sent anywhere in the world. That they have that thing, like you can go anywhere and do anything. So I met the staff, everybody was nice, but the working hours and then the exposure to different characters, and you get trained, and for 3 months I was gone. Like mentally I was so exhausted, even though I had an amazing experience. By the end of it, my mom was thanking God that I was done with it, because I'm one of those people who would put all my energy, everything into something.
I mean, and work environments can really, that's
drain
what I'm saying,
you.
they can drain you, because you can give it like 150%, and they'd give you like 2%. Like, here you go, here's what you have in return.
Yeah, but they were amazing. But still, for me, I was one of those people who wanted all in, and everybody.
I know what you're talking about. Because when I'm saying 2%, I don't mean like necessarily like financial or opportunity. I'm just saying like expectation-wise, what you are expecting, you're like, how comes I'm not really,
getting
there's that fulfillment to you, it's just not there.
And the thing is with our hospitality, like there's so many departments in a hotel. You wouldn't realize, like as kids we'd go to hotels, we would not realize how many departments there are in the hotel. We would not realize how much work it takes to check in a guest, or how much work it is to make somebody's room, or to cook the food that you're presented. And when I was in the first internship, at Sarova, what happened, I was only exposed to banqueting, that's the conferencing, and, and we did a lot of mass cooking, like masses of food, and we would host different groups for conferences and weddings, and we would do like 200 people for wedding in the evening, and then breakfast 200 in the morning. So you were like running, and it was a lot of exposure. But I didn't have, I thought that is it. That's it, like that's what hotel industry combines. But when I went back to school and I was taught about these other departments in the hotel, I was mind blown. I was like, let's go back. So I got an opportunity in April to work at Nairobi Serrano Hotel. So now I wasn't thinking of working again in Nairobi, because I wanted to let's go out of Nairobi.
And just see what else is out there.
But then what happened, unfortunately, my grandma fell ill, and I've been living with my grandma for I think 10 years, and she fell ill after my uncle passed away in December last year. So she fell really ill, and my mom, she works, my sister's also in school, and I didn't want to go far, or even go like to Nakuru or Naivasha, and I know that I can be of help here. And family is always, I've always known family first, and I feel like that's important.
I respect people who understand that whole idea, because once you start thinking of just chasing things like money, money can never be enough. It doesn't matter how much money you get, you'll still want more and more money.
Of course.
And money can always be gotten. You can always get money. But family, man, I mean, if you're close to your family, you want those memories, You want to be there when they need you, and all those things. So I respect that.
So what happened? She felt she wasn't well. So I decided, okay, it's fine. Let me stay here. It's like not like we don't have hotels here. There are so many hotels in Nairobi, isn't it? And so many coming up as well.
Yeah.
So the industry is growing and growing.
So many.
Yeah. And so I got the opportunity at Nairobi Serena Hotel.
Yeah.
And I was thinking of going to Dar es Salaam for the Serena in Dar es Salaam, but I didn't go. So I was alright with it. So. And I'm telling you, these people are amazing. Serena is like, they keep everybody like a family, and you know, everybody's like willing to train you. It was the same in the first, but you know, in the first I had no idea like how work is gonna be.
You didn't know, like you didn't expect it. You didn't expect to be tired, basically because of working here.
But you know, okay, people
didn't understand how grown-ups come back home and they're like, oh, I've had a long day.
Yeah. And you know, even this year in April when I started, you know, I'd keep coming home and I didn't want to talk to anybody. Like, don't even speak to me. If you speak to me, we're fighting. You know, like for real. And my dad would tell me, so when you're actually working in the real world, what are you going to do? He's like, don't you think we come from work? He's like, do you think I go to the national park every day?
Yep.
You know? He's like, and your mom and your brothers, don't they all work? So what do you think? Who are you?
And you need to understand, when he's telling you that, you also have to understand, like, you know, he's been doing this for the longest time.
Since he was like,
and think
20.
about when, like, how many times does he come like home, is super tired and everything.
And then I have my
when you're a
problems.
kid, you come with problems. Dad, I want this. And he kept a nice face, smiled at you, and, you know, gave you whatever you needed and talked to you, gave you attention. And then you just start working for a couple of months and you're like, nobody talk to me. Don't talk to me.
Don't even tell me to do anything in the house.
I'm a busy, independent person. I don't want to be disturbed.
No, but you know, thankfully they're very understanding.
Yeah.
And they know.
Plus, they've also been there, so they know it's just an
know.
adjustment period. But you'll get.
Then I was told, listen, if you're going to be tired, just stop. Like, if you're going to be drained like this, just stop. I'm like, no, this is a golden opportunity. I'm in this hotel. I cannot stop for who? And then I picked up myself. I'm like, no, I have to do this. Like, I have to do this. This is career, isn't it?
And gets easier once you start enjoying what you do.
Yeah.
And
then
don't look at it as work. Look at it as just something that you.
Yeah, that you're doing. And then, unfortunately, my grandma passed away. The one who stayed with me, she passed away in May, and that kind of brought, you know, because when you're staying with an elderly person for so long, I'm very grateful. She stayed with a lot of the other family, but she stayed with us last. And once she passed away, life kind of became different. Because you know, when you've been living with somebody, it's always different, yeah. And then my mind kind of started, you know, opening up. Like, life is too short. You can't hold grudges. You can't say, oh, I've been through so much, even though you've been through so little. And you need to start appreciating the moments. Yeah,
because this is somebody you actually loved and lived with
24/7.
Yeah, man. And you know, you've seen it, like, personally, like in their eyes since when they were happy, smiling with you and everything. Till the last minute when they're not there.
Yeah, exactly.
And now you realize, like, oh, this is somebody who was actually...
Yeah. And you know, we all evolved. Like me, my mom, my dad. Because we were living with her, we all, our eyes open. Obviously, in a good way. Not that we were glad that... Oh, she's in a better place, yes. But in the sense that we learned from it and we're stronger together. You know, and that started a new phase for me. And then, you know, work started evolving, different departments. And now I'm finishing next week, actually. Finishing 6 weeks.
Congrats.
6 months, sorry. Okay. Next week. And I feel like when I started in April, my whole mindset about the industry, about life was way different. Because, you know, you start doubting. I'm sure, Johnny, when you tell me, you were doubting when you were in work, you were telling me, from 8 to 5. Yeah. You were working and you were like, this is not where my energy should be.
Listen, let me tell you, I keep telling people, I've been fired 6-7 times.
I didn't know that.
And getting fired like 4 or 5 times, it was in the same company.
Wow. And they kept taking you back?
I'm good at what I do. I'm good at what I do. What do you mean?
Yeah. No, I'm not surprised. I'm just asking to be clarified.
Yeah. They took me back. They always took me back and stuff. And even the last time, it was just like, for me, I was just like, I don't really want to feel like somebody has, like, you know,
chains
control of my life. Like, they can say, like, you know what, for the next couple of months, you want to get rent.
Wow.
So you're fired. Just like, what? Wow. So where am I going to get food,
like
rent, and everything?
Your whole universe is blown.
So I didn't want to give anybody that power anymore. And just after a couple of years, you start now realizing like, I need to have like a plan B. Because just think about it, what if I had like a family?
Yeah.
What if somebody fired me? I had
it?
like 2 kids or 2-3 baby mamas. You know how Kenyans, you know how we do. You know how we do. But not me. I'm just saying.
No,
but I'm
we're
just saying.
John
I'm
now.
just saying. But just in case, think about it that way. If somebody has like a kid or a wife to take care to, and then you fire them, just like psychologically what they have to go through or anything. So I counted myself lucky because I was not in that situation. Yeah. So I'm just like, okay, now I need to be smart so that doesn't ever happen when I really have responsibilities on my lap. I mean, it's kind of like tricky, but you just have to figure it out.
Okay, yeah, of course. And and I feel like when you're self-employed, you have that freedom of always like exploring any field.
Of course.
I've also heard of so many people who don't study in one field and then they end up in that field. Like there's some people in the hotel industry, like the ones I've met and the ones who come to our college to speak, and they own a winery now and they started as accountants. They started as businessmen.
Especially a lot. Even from my podcast, I don't know whether you've noticed that, because I normally ask people, like, what did you want to be when you're growing up?
Yeah.
And then what did you study?
Yeah.
And then after like so many things, like I did business administration, I did this and this. And now then the creative industry, somebody's like a whole creative just person. They just divert into.
Yeah.
But still, all those things that you learned somehow during your early years, you can always, and especially if you decide to go independently, you can always now use that to actually come in play in your business or just anything else that you're doing.
Yeah. And even when I finished high school, I was like, oh yeah, I know I'm doing hospitality management. I was really clear, like this is what I want to do. Yeah. But then now I'm into it, and I'm like, oh my god, I want to do barista.
You start thinking of so many other things that
I want to do. Like I want to learn small things. Yeah. Like I need a break now, but I can't take a break. I have to go back. But you kind of think of these small things that come in the way. And for me, why if someone was to ask me why did I join hospitality, because it's very rare where I see people of hospitality coming to speak on a podcast. That's why even I reached out to you, because when I was starting, there was no referee, like when you go and you talk to somebody. You're
trying to look for information somewhere, like, is this a good industry to get into? What should I expect? Is it hard? Is it easy?
And I was always into traveling. Like now even I'm in this industry with the knowledge that I'll get by next year when I finish, I expect somebody to hire me because I want to travel, I want to go to be in a chain hotel where they take me there and they take me to different hotels.
Send you to a different kind of,
and to do like an exposure. I've always been about traveling, always. And even though like financially or whatever happens, I end up not going to do my master's. I've always thought I have to do a master's. Yeah. But it's never about the degree or what your certificates you have.
It's also like relative. It just depends on. Okay, because like for me, how I think about it, but this is me.
Yeah.
If like you're being like a doctor, I think I definitely need you to be certified. Yeah. If you're an engineer, I'm going to be on a plane or anything, I need you to be certified, of course. I'm just saying that. But there's so many other things. And even just from my podcast, you'll tend to get a glimpse of a lot of people saying that they studied this, but this is something else they've discovered. And they're so good at it, even though they didn't go to school. And at times, even maybe in hospitality, there's some places just because of your personality, it might take you in different directions. Just because of
because how you are, how you are with people, and that is why.
Wait, just don't forget what you're saying. You said like, was I saying this thing? Did Bob Collymore have a degree?
No, he came from UK, right?
Yeah.
And he saw how the market was here.
Yeah.
And he decided that I want to expand the market here. Like I want to explore the market, and I don't think so. But he must be a well-educated man, but I'm not sure about the degree. But he must have done something.
But you see, like how he was conducting business and everything. Yeah. You can even just for us, just losing him, of course, rest in peace.
Yeah. God.
Like people felt like that void that was just left when he's not there anymore.
I was because. You were late. I was reading the newspaper.
Okay, yeah.
No, I'm not calling him out.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm always early. But I was reading the newspaper, and it was the guy who's come it's called Intim something CEO that
Yeah.
has just joined temporary.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was saying that he wants to expand the business for M-Pesa outside of Kenya.
Mhm.
And I was like, I'm sure Bob Collymore thought of that, but if somebody, him, I don't remember his name, sorry,
Mhm.
but he was the CEO till 2010, and then Bob Collymore came in, and then the whole story, yeah. And so I was like, it's so mind blowing, because when I heard the president speak about him during his funeral, I mean his service,
Yeah.
he said that Bob came to him telling him the future of what he thought of, and it blows my mind, John, that people actually think of, like, when you're in your last stage of, unfortunately, he passed away.
Yeah.
But when he was in that stage, he didn't know when he was going to pass away, but he was still thinking of his company. So it brings up to me like passion. People's passion is so strong.
Passion.
And let me tell you, even you, where you're sitting right now, and this is passion driven.
No, it's passion driven.
Yeah, and
Because if it was just for, like, let's say money and everything, I'd be like, if you want to be in my podcast, just pay me. Then just pay me, and then
just come.
Yeah, because you have a lot of people who want to pay for these
Really?
slots.
Seriously?
Yeah, but that's not what I want.
Wow.
That's
Yeah,
not
it's
what I
because
want.
it's all about your
Then
mindset.
You'd have a lot of ridiculous people here who are talking about a lot of rubbish that you can't even, But I'm just saying, I'd want this platform to be informative, entertaining,
Yeah.
and that's why, like, you get those personal connections. Like I told you, like, I've been shooting content for a very long time,
Yeah.
but I never used to get, like, those DMs that I get right now.
Yeah.
Like, oh
So
my
it
God,
really
these.
shows how
Yeah.
you've changed you've changed certain opinions about the whole.
Man, trust. And I love it. That's why I'm always, like, putting, like, little questions on Insta
Really?
stories.
Yeah.
Thoughts on this? What's your thoughts on this? Thoughts on this?
Yeah.
And you have, like, all these people who have facts about, like, why they think this way.
Yeah.
But the best thing is, like, they're all having a conversation. You see
yeah.
this person's response, and you're like, okay, now maybe this makes sense. Maybe this makes sense. So it's
You never
interesting.
know. And actually, I'm one of those people. I was saying why I joined it is because I'm such a people's person. Like, let me tell you, I was coming here today, and I got into a Uber with this driver, and I told him, listen, it is so early in the morning. I'm going to take you so far right now from Parklands, and he started laughing, and he's giggling with me, telling me, thank God I have petrol to take you. We started this whole conversation, and then he told me he was in accounts for 9 years. Before he's now
Imagine 9 years.
and he's telling me I didn't want someone to control my life. And this is a stranger. I just sat in his car from my house till here, and I've just learnt about him. And he's telling me, let me take you to the shortcuts. It's so good. You're flexible. He's like, and I told him I'm going to go on a podcast. He's like, really? People, you don't realize how you can just talk to somebody and you learn so much.
And you can imagine, like, even for them, just being in that car, how many people do they get to talk to maybe in a day?
Yeah.
And you're just speaking of something. And even that thing that I mentioned, I didn't want somebody to have control over my life.
Yeah.
And that's what he's talking about, because at times you kind of get to, there's this freedom that you feel when you're just doing it on your own. Like, let's say, like, for me, I never used to have that. Like, it was just like 8 to 5. Okay, and in advertising, it was like 8 till midnight every single day. Every single day.
What?
There's always something urgent, there's always an emergency and everything. So I never, like, even by the time I quit advertising, I didn't know how, like, what do people do, like, for their free time? Do people go out and just, like,
so you
maybe
didn't have did you have a passion back then?
for advertising?
Yeah.
Of course, until they killed it.
Oh God.
Of course.
They really
of
drove
course.
you, yeah?
What? So I didn't understand how you can actually go to a restaurant and meet somebody during the day.
Wow.
Be like, you're wasting time. You're wasting time.
Time is money.
Yeah, but now I'd be like on Tuesday, I'd post it, like, on my Instagram. Today's my off day. Don't call.
No
Meet
one
up
will
with
call
a.
you.
No, like, okay, you can call me, but just know, like, it's
Like,
my free day
yeah.
for work. Don't call me
Don't
for
call
work.
work, yeah.
So I'm just going maybe to meet with somebody, to have, like, just some food, talk, catch up, go meet my friends, like, maybe in town, Westlands,
Yeah,
wherever.
do something
I'm
that
on.
you normally don't do.
Just
Explore
meetings.
some things.
Yeah, or even just call my sister and just have a talk for like an
yeah.
hour and just
Siblings.
talk. My mom talk. We just talk. Because then again, I didn't know how to do these things, because it was always, okay, I need to get back to work. I need to get back to work.
That's it.
So, I mean, I'm just glad that now I can get time to actually do that.
But at least you can say you had that experience.
Yeah.
Not people will be like, how would he know what work is? You know, if you hadn't worked, people talk. You know, actually, John told me earlier how there was some guy here at Cafe who was bringing tantrums because he was with a guest and they were a bit. I mean, now with these noise cancelling headphones, he was saying that they were too loud. And John, you were telling me how you were not affected at all.
Before, like, you push my buttons for me to like get upset, because in any cafe you'll always see, like, people having like issues. Maybe somebody's here, maybe let's say, like, what I've seen some people like outside that other restaurant. I won't say which one, but one person was like smoking and blowing smoke on the other end. And people like almost want to fight. I'm like, what? You guys just want to smoke because of us? You want to fight because of a cigarette? Yeah. Just little incidents, or people maybe get too drunk.
Yeah.
And because you can't control what other people are doing or saying. And but yourself, you can control. So for me, I'd just be like, okay, you're just complaining about what? Oh, okay. So that's all good. That's all good. Just leave him alone. He's just playing. He's not serious. Leave him alone.
And then John was telling me he continued the podcast. Like, you weren't bothered at all by him.
At all. And I know, like, some people, like maybe my friends, if like you just picked on them like just a bit, now it's a whole other thing. Now I'd have to be like, you relax. And especially like a lot of like my female friends, they have like some that I know have like quick triggers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, some that I know, but the polite ones. But there's some people would be like, oh my God, I'm just glad this situation was not with so and so. You don't want to be in that situation. Yeah, this is not so and so is not here, because otherwise it would have turned into a whole other thing. Yeah. So but I do understand, and like I was even saying, at times we're shooting, and you'd see maybe somebody's kid is running around here. They're looking at your remote. They're looking at it. They're looking at you. But you see, that I can't control. But like for me, it's just like, and especially like kids, you have to just play the ignoring game. You just play like a statue. Like, because once you give them attention like this. So I'm already used to so many little things that I've already gone through. A work environment with friends, home. And I also do like online business of electronics and stuff. So I already know how to deal with so many people. Yeah. I'm like, okay, you're upset. I won't let you spoil my day. That's like one motto that I just live by.
That's great. You know, and I feel like you would have to train your mind from way before to get to this. It's not like a switch where like, oh, so today this person is not bothering me. It's never like that. And for me, working in the hotel industry, or even in college, you meet people who come into class like 2 hours late, and you're like, oh my God. You pay so much money to be in this class.
What are you doing?
Then what are you doing?
Yeah.
And I feel like it all comes down to priorities. Because sometimes like I'm the class rep, unfortunately.
Okay,
but,
we see you.
And then you deal with people who don't even text you. Like even if they're coming late to class, they don't even text you. So you're supposed to like dream. You're supposed to have a dream that you're coming late to class and I have to inform the lecturer, like, so you have so many characters. And in the hotel industry, we believe guests are always right. And when you're in the hotel industry, you have to, it's a certain motto, leave everything personal behind. Yeah. But it's not very easy. Like now I meet people, they have families. When they joined the industry, they were single. Then they got married, they got children, they have grandchildren now. And you're like, wow. You're like, people, how, for me, I'm always asking, how do you stay so long? Like, what drives you? And then sometimes you see people like really like driven. You feel like, wow, one day I should get there. Yeah.
And you just have to try and understand like just their mindset or mind space. Just being in a space where you're like, okay, I can be patient with this because I know at the end of the day I'm supposed to go and deal with my kids first of all. So
even like night shift, hotels work 24/7. So I see people doing night shifts. Okay, I don't want to believe it's all for money. Yeah. Because then it's like, then that's the end of the chain thought. You don't.
What are like some of the biggest misconceptions that you just
hotel industry?
Yeah, in the hotel industry.
That people don't go home. Let me tell you, there was a guest the other day. Yeah. I'm working at the front of the house now. Yeah. And there's a guest the other day. He's telling one of my colleagues. Okay, not my colleagues. Okay, he's a colleague of mine anyway. Yeah. And he's telling him, So you go home. Don't you have a wife and a girlfriend?
Jeez.
Seriously, what are you doing here?
Jeez.
But he was a tour guide, so he was just joking. But
Yeah.
for me, I'm like, what is that guy thinking? Do we go home? Because the colleague of mine is telling me, he saw me at 8 when he was going to his room to sleep, and then he saw me at 6 when he's checking out. So you can believe that this person
I'm just like, yo, are you still gonna be here the next time that I come, even if it's morning or night?
Yeah. But it's not easy because when you're in a hotel, there are like 600 employees. Every employee is a different mindset. Everybody's a different character.
Different backgrounds they're coming
Yeah.
from, how they've been
Yeah,
raised.
from Voi, from
Yeah.
Kisumu, from Nakuru.
Yeah.
People are from everywhere.
Yeah.
And people are from transfers. Because, people, sometimes the hotel transfers from Dar es Salaam to here for training, exposure. So you meet people from everywhere. But the common ground is always love. You feel like if you have, not love like intimate and stuff, I mean the respect, mutual love.
Hey, if that's what floats their boat, who are we to deny them? But I know what you're saying.
It's
though.
like
I
the
know.
common ground.
Yeah.
Like they have that family love. Like that we're a team. We've come here, and they always pray. I mean, this was very a shocker to me because obviously you pray every day you go to work, but they always have a briefing, and they're praying, holding hands. Like we pray that this hotel succeeds. We pray for our families, and you feel like, wow, this is the place to be.
Jeez.
Everybody's connected for one purpose, and like to thrive. Everyone to thrive in their own personal space, but also in their work environment.
Because even if you think about it, sorry to interrupt
It's okay,
you.
don't worry.
Just don't forget your chain of thought. It's just like how we're talking about it, and just recently how Dusit is reopening and stuff.
Yeah, I saw that.
You do need that kind of spirit if you're gonna be working with. Because there are people who are traumatized, first of all, from that incident.
Course, yeah.
First of all, for me, I don't know whether I'd be able to work in the same
Let
place.
me tell you, we had some trainees from our college
Yeah.
who were at that college when the attack happened.
Which college?
Oh, see, IHTI, the one I'm at,
Yeah,
International Hotel
yeah.
and Tourism Institute.
Okay, they were there when
Yeah,
that
they were
happened.
attached. Because we are attached.
Oh, they were
every-
in attachment
Yeah,
there
yeah.
when it happened.
Yeah, because we go to
Ooh,
attachment
Lord.
every 3 months.
Yeah.
So there's a group, like we are out, there are other groups at school like that, so we rotate. So they were there, and my dean of studies was like on the phone, like, where are people? I was on my off day.
Yeah.
So I was at home, and people were calling me, this has happened, there's a shooting. I'm like, oh my God. It was like a whole shocker to our... Then you start thinking, oh my God, if I was there.
Because this can happen in any other hotel. Yeah.
And okay, well, for me, I would stand with them now as there. It's a whole, you need a whole spirit to open a hotel again.
Plus, you still need to move on.
Yeah,
as
you
well.
do. Like with the Westgate thing.
Yeah.
Personally, there was a lot of people I knew who passed away, and it's really sad. Not my close family, but family friends.
Yeah.
It's really,
But you know them, like, I know this is so and so,
I've
I know
seen
this
them
and
since
so.
I was like young,
Yeah.
and people still don't go there.
Yeah.
Because their loved ones were, killed
Yeah.
there. But
It's hard.
It's
It's
hard.
kind of hard.
But
yeah.
but for me, I feel like it's understandable. But you also want to make sure that life has to move on. And there's different aspects of moving on. Come on.
People deal with situations in
differently.
Yeah.
But yes, there's a certain understanding. But also, it's business. They need their business, and people go there for business only. Not
And
because
people need to get paid. People
Yeah.
are making a living. How will they pay their bills and everything? Yeah.
But it's understandable. Now with Dusit, I even saw it in the newspaper in the morning that they're opening today. Today is where they were telling me, they were saying something about the menus, and I'd go. Because just to see
listen.
how it looks.
I've done
again.
a couple of food reviews for them. In fact,
How
I
many
did
did you do?
burger week.
Oh,
Last
really?
year I did
You
burger
It's
week
starting
review for.
again, yeah? Next week.
Well, I don't know about that burger. If I want to have that burger right now. But I'm
You
there.
know
I'm
about-
with them in the
You
spirit
don't
and
know about
everything.
their burger, but I'm sure
Yeah.
you'll go for Burger Week. You love food.
Yeah. Yeah.
You'd go for Burger Week.
But I'm just saying, I also like, I wasn't close, or I didn't know
Yeah,
anyone close,
okay.
but I'm still not comfortable
It's a
going there.
traumatizing
But after a while, I'll
experience, yeah.
definitely, I will.
But
And I'm
you
sure
know-
they'll also call like a couple of influencers. Hey, do you guys want to
check
try
it
and
out,
everything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, as you were talking about Dusit, it's these external factors that it's
You
crazy.
can't control them as well. Because who knew?
Yeah, who knew? And and I was also thinking, the way I wake up in the morning, go to work, no one expects these things. It's a risk. Everybody working, even you are here, I'm here with you. It's a risk. We all take risks in life.
And you remember, like, there was an alert for, like, all the malls. And then I was like, all the malls? I'm like, all? Especially when I just started shooting the podcast. What do you mean, all the malls? And even at that time, like, I didn't shoot maybe, I think, for 2 or 3 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was just telling my guests, like, okay, let's just chill. Let's just chill. And then I'm like, okay, now I do need to
start.
Yeah, because people have started going back to work and everything. So we really need to show that.
But it also shows the Kenyan spirit. Obviously, the media and press and how they portray things.
I had my friend. I just made a new friend like last week or a couple of days ago. She's from Tokyo.
Oh wow!
And she was saying like how she was trying to look for information about Kenya. She can't find anything. Like in Tokyo, she can't find anything.
She can only find the attacks and everything.
Ooh. She was just like the things that you see like in Japan if you're looking for just Kenya.
It's like you don't want to go there.
You don't want to.
It's like the tourism is just no.
Exactly. But now she got here and she was like, I didn't know I can. Now I'm shooting a podcast. I'm doing this. She's all around. She's so shooting content and stuff. So she was so excited that she knows, like, even like she was talking about where she bought her phone and it was super expensive. And then now she's telling me like, I didn't know there's a place called Diamond Plaza. I can get good deals to replace or buy a phone.
And
I'm like, oh my God, you just like, you've been here for how long and you know all these things. But she was just saying like, now she understands like why it's also at times important to just go and experience something for yourself. And just be open-minded.
Yeah. Because where would we be if we would want to just be in our comfort zone?
No, I mean, plus you'll never leave your house if you start watching the news properly, like Kenyan news, like even for us. Forget about like the tourists. For us, if you watch the news properly from Monday to Friday, you might not be able to leave your house. You'd be like, man, I'm not ready for this.
Some people tell me, and I've heard a lot of people say this, we don't watch the news because of the negativity it portrays.
Yeah.
Or sometimes they must be saying a good thing, like of Madaraka Day. Or,
I don't watch the
even
news.
I don't watch news.
I don't, because I just know what it can do to my
mind.
Yeah, because like you see it repeatedly, it starts getting in your head.
Very true.
And then maybe you're like asking like your friend, have you seen the news?
Yeah.
Have you seen the news?
It's like
what do
you're
you think
chatting about it.
Yeah. So now it just starts being part of you. Now you're being involved in this politicians like whole tangle and you have nothing to do with it when you're supposed to focus on.
They don't even know you're alive. They don't even care.
Yeah.
You know, your opinion doesn't matter.
You just mind your own business. Just focus on what you're trying to achieve.
You know, and actually when I was working recently, they were at KTN. I don't know if you've heard of Point Blank. I'd never heard of it before. It's like a show within KTN.
Yeah.
It's called Point Blank, and they normally interview politicians and famous people. So they were doing the interview at Nairobi Serena at one of the banqueting rooms, and I was coincidentally I was serving tea there.
Yeah.
So what happened? I was there during the whole interview, and it blew my mind how people actually care so much about politicians.
Oh, yeah.
How people care about people's opinion about the politicians. How people care about the future of the politicians. You're like, you know, if they got there and how they got there, that's up to them.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But you see, it's end of the day, it's business. Without the media is a whole business. You know, and journalism and
don't we know? Don't we already know? Like,
So you feel like it's a business perspective, but also like we're giving too much attention to people who don't need it.
Yeah, they really don't. But you know, unfortunately now if you're watching TV, it's shoved down your throat. If you don't have like Netflix or what, you're just like you're just like, this is what we have to watch every single day. And even for me, I'm always telling my mom, don't watch the news too much, because she does love watching like news. But I'm just like,
but you know, also she's back of that generation where news is important because it keeps you up to date.
With like, what's happening.
And so
like
for
us, it's internet and stuff. Like, but for her, it's just like, and especially people, I think her age, friends. So like for me, whenever my mom sees something on the internet, she she really has this sensitive heart for animals. So when she sees rhinos or elephants getting tortured or dogs, or she really feels bad. And I always tell her, Mom, there's also so many conservatives for these animals, and they always portray the bad stuff. They always like put it in front page. A rhino, this happened to a rhino, this happened to an elephant. Or just go to maybe online and search for actually nice videos about.
And they don't portray the conservatives, people who are conserving. Like the other day I was reading about white ocean sharks, and how they're good, and the way they're portrayed is so horrible. And so it's like the whole media puts this whole vision of how animals are treated.
You tell me where sharks are. I wouldn't swim. I'd be like, no thanks.
But it's because, no, John, tell me something.
Yeah.
If all your life you were told that sharks were a good thing, would you be scared of swimming with them?
Because I've seen some people who are like doing like free diving and sharks, dolphins and everything.
Yeah.
But it's just like being educated on that.
Yeah, that's
but
what
if
I'm
that
saying.
stigma has already been painted like on you,
yeah.
it's just like if I just jump,
That's
even
it. You're
wait,
eaten.
you're not even eaten before you even land on the water. I've seen those videos where like it grabs you
Like, yeah.
before you
Oh,
land in the
yeah.
water. I'm like, oh Lord.
You know,
I don't want to be here.
I always give my example because when I tell people, so I'm
Yeah.
vegetarian, all right. So I tell people like I'm vegetarian, but my family eats meat, and that's their choice. And I've always brought up with people who eat meat.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing like that. Like when you're brought up in a family, like if I was born in a Muslim family, for example,
Yeah.
and them eating meat is religious, and they
Yeah.
also do it.
Yeah.
And for me, I was brought up in a family where they eat meat, they drink, but I chose for my own path. Like I chose, no, I don't want to drink,
Yeah.
I don't want to, and they're not against it. Thankfully, I have a supportive family. So the same way with media, when they're portraying something, all your life you've heard politicians are corrupt.
You'll
All
just be
your
like,
life you've heard this. So you
Yeah.
feel like that's what your mindset is now,
No, but that's true.
isn't it?
And it's just kind of like tricky because like now we're even like in a generation where like everybody has like this opinion and
Yeah,
belief and
yeah.
everything, and it can get diluted to a point where like okay, now I can't keep up with everything.
You can't, yeah.
Because like even for me, how when I was growing up, I just knew like Indians don't eat meat.
Yeah,
That's
it,
what I
yeah.
knew. But then now like even like how when I'm doing like food reviews and stuff and
You
everything.
meet different people.
Yeah, so even at times I was just like, will I offend someone if I'm
Eat
eating
meat,
this and stuff?
yeah.
Because I also had like this friend of mine, she is Muslim, but she eats pork.
Yeah, you see, it's
So-
an individual choice.
So even for me at first, I was just like, I don't even want to order anything
ask,
with,
or
or
even
even ask.
to offend somebody.
I just, and then she orders and then I'm like,
Oh my God, what's happening?
I'm like, are you sure you're supposed? And this is
You're
me now
confirming,
telling,
you're
like, yeah,
confirming.
I don't think you're supposed to be eating this. You know, this is pork. And she's like,
Oh, you're being such a nice person.
yeah. So I'm just like, oh, but now I've just learned, like,
Diversity.
yeah, there's
Diversity.
just, and even just with the podcast, there is so much that I learned with so
Yeah.
many different people, and other people have it for like just diet reasons.
Yeah.
Others are like just like, okay, I
So I
I
don't
do
want to have
believe,
it.
but I don't follow
Yeah.
this.
And you
And-
not believe I cook it in hotels at
Yeah.
home, my family eats,
Yeah.
I cook, they're eating next to me and I don't
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah.
So it's all individual. And you know because I'm a community worker, I am a
Yeah.
community service worker.
Yeah.
So I've been taking part in so many religious camps, and it's kind of opened my mind to, it's not everything what you've been told and you see is not everything. There's always more to what you see, and you
Not
hear.
true. And just putting yourself in that situation, that's
Situation.
when you'll start understanding.
Standing,
Like,
yeah.
oh, okay. Maybe
This
this
is-
is why.
yeah.
Maybe this is why.
You
It's
need to
kinda-
explore things, otherwise where are you going to be, you know?
True. Now, there was like a bunch like of even just things that you wanted us to discuss, right?
Now it's your turn.
Yeah. So no, we'll just bounce it
Uh-huh.
back and forth. So just hold on to that. So for this segment, we have to touch on a bit of just love, relationships, and those kind of things. And we get to know like where your mindset is, the kind of people you're dating, if you're dating any.
The kind of people. I like the way you're
Oh
phrasing
yeah,
your hair.
yeah. I just like I've had people who like just love like bad boys
You
or
bad
nice
boys.
people, long-term relationships.
No,
So how's your situation? Because we have to talk about
I
that
like
as well.
that you're
Like,
saying situation, because it's
yeah.
always a situation.
oh, it is a situation.
boys,
yeah,
isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah.
No, I'm single right
Mhm,
now, and I have been single,
Mhm.
and I got into a few I would say encounters. It's like I'm killing somebody.
Okay,
A few
okay.
encounters with a few boys.
Yeah.
Back in high school, no, I didn't date anyone because most of my girlfriends, my girlfriends, were dating people, and they used to be miserable, and they wanted to impress them, and it was all about them. It was never about education for them. It was like, come to school all dressed up because we have to impress this guy. And I love those girls. I have so much respect for them, and because it's not only about like impressing. It was their mindset, it was their journey, and they went through it. But I was fortunate enough to learn from
their mistakes, maybe
not even mistakes, experiences, mostly mistakes, but also experiences. And the way they would tell me, I was always that advising friend in relationships. I'm still am. And when I sit down with my girlfriends nowadays, and we talk about, and they're very few. I'm a person with few friends.
Okay.
And it's not about trust issues. It's more like I don't click with many people. Like, I'm so glad I clicked with you.
I click with everyone. For me,
no, but for me, I can start a conversation with a stranger, and I'll talk to them, and we'll click. But down the line, I'll realize like. Not that you're a bad person, but you're not my person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I respect you. I'll talk to you. We go for dinner.
But
we can meet.
But it's not just
It's not. We cannot go to that level, isn't it? So whenever I sit down with my girlfriends, they always tell me there's this guy. I've always been the advising friend. So from that aspect, whenever I meet a guy, and or maybe I met him when in an event, like a social event, or I met him on Instagram, or I meet him from college or from mutual friend. For me, it's always like, what does this guy want? Because like, are you ready?
What do you mean? He wants to take you out? Maybe he wants to take you out. What do you mean?
Maybe, but for me, it's always guys nowadays, and I don't want to say this like they don't want to commit. It's just that for them, they just see today. You find it's very hard to find somebody who looks for the future, like long term. This is not just like me and John today, isn't it? We are looking at the long term, isn't it? So for me, it's always been that. And for me, it's not dating for time pass, never. And I see many of my friends. It has
to be like a serious thing.
And I see many of my friends time passing a lot. Even today, I can tell you people who are time passing. But it's not fun because you're playing with someone's feelings.
That's kind of like, I think, where my problem is, when somebody actually knows like, okay, this is not going anywhere, but they're still pushing it. Like, people who are like, they do everything together and they know this is not going anywhere. You're shopping together, you're eating together,
you're traveling together,
or even introduce your families.
Parents,
and then you know this is not gonna end.
It's really bad because in the end result, you're both hurt. And I don't like saying that, girls are the only ones who are hurt. Please, my friends who are guys, I've seen them going through breakups. You put in quotes, and it's really tough on them because, of course, as you know, guys, they take it differently than ladies. Everybody takes it differently. And for me, so that's where my perspective of relationship come in, where I've seen girls going through this. Let's impress them. We have to do everything right. Is it intimate or is it just time pass? Or know? So for me, I haven't dated anybody till date, but I've always
feel like you're missing out though.
No, I've been very close to becoming girlfriend and boyfriend with this one or two guys. But end of it, John, when I decided
1 or 2 guys at the same time, or what are you saying?
Separate, very separate.
Oh, okay.
Very separate years, and it was a year difference.
Like, okay, player.
No, I'm not a player. I'm always the person. I need to know the person in depth before because there's some things like you run into quickly, like you get into quickly, and then later you're like, shit. But you're already too deep into it.
I know about that. So I know about that very well.
So now I'm like, but I'm also in this mindset that at the age I am in, I don't want to be with somebody for a few years and then you just decide to break up. Like I want something to go to, like hopefully marriage one day. True. And I'm such a person. I want commitment, and I want connection. Like I cannot be texting you all the time and then you don't want to meet me, like John, me and you have connected like this because we're in front of each other. Because we can tell by body language, by speaking, by hand movement, by everything how the other person is. So for me, when the time you start telling me you're too busy, like or you're too busy to meet me, or my family, family is important.
Maybe that person has a podcast to shoot. What do you mean? You're like, they actually have.
No, but then okay,
But I get what you're saying. No, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
But you cannot tell me like no, the time is not right. Time is not right is the worst excuse you can give a girl.
Oh yeah.
It's the worst excuse.
But it's very tricky, especially like I'll let you get back to it. But the thing is, like, even for me, that's why I normally like post everything that I'm doing, because I don't have the energy to explain to people like, I'm sorry. I'm like, just check my Instagram. You'll know like my schedule and everything. So I don't have to respond to everyone. So I can only imagine. And for me, I can always imagine if I don't have to explain to, like, somebody like my sister. These are people I don't even live with. My sister, my mom, like what I'm doing, because they kind of like have a glimpse of like what I do, of course.
Understanding.
You're
overall talking about understanding, and that's where the concept of like dating comes in. If you understand each other and the communication is right, then then you're good to be with each other because you understand the person and you're communicating well. But when these two things aren't happening, then
I know it's tricky.
It's a no-no.
It's tricky.
And for me, let me tell you, John, why I haven't been in a relationship till today is because I feel like I give my all, like my everything to this person.
That's a good thing.
But
That's
the
not a
thing
bad
is-
thing.
but the thing
Just
is-
know you won't get the same. You won't get the same.
Yeah, but then it comes to a point where I'm a giver, but then the other person is just a taker. It's not going to give anything back. It's not even mutual respect or self-respect. It's more like the person is just going to take, and that's it. You just have to keep giving. It's like I'm an ATM. You just press and the money is coming out.
Yeah.
You get?
Uh-huh.
But of course they're good guys and, my friends, and you meet people who you connect with and you respect people who like really, really are looking for a long-term thing. But till now, I'm still in the midst of finding somebody.
Because listen, the thing is, this is my next guest. You see?
Are these the Uber driver she's talking about?
No. I think I was telling you about like her,
Oh, yeah,
the department she was going to.
Yeah.
But like I had given her like a heads up yesterday.
Oh my God.
Can you see this? No, that happened tomorrow. So I mean, I don't know how it's going to happen.
Can she not do in the evening or something?
I don't know.
Or a different location?
No, location like security clearance and all those things are very like
hard.
super hard to
get.
Yeah. So
anyway, now you'll
so
have to. Your chain of thought has just been like, even mine has just been.
Yeah, now I'm just like, okay, yeah. So
Anyway,
we're talking about like.
So that's where I am in relationships. I really do want to.
But what kind of guys do you think like you'd be? What kind
like
of
that you
qualities
said
do you look
guys.
for in a guy?
I like that you said guys.
There
you
were-
didn't say
there were
guy.
two at
you
least,
didn't say
so,
guy. No, I didn't mean there are two only. I mean there were many, but it never ended up to be a relationship. It just meant it was just an understanding moment. It was like, they say people come in for a season, for a reason,
Which is true.
and some just for lifetime.
I've had so many seasons, man. I'm just like,
I see so many
But I
seasons.
think the best thing about at times experiencing such things is because
you grow as a person.
you grow as a person, and as you get slightly older, you kind of like are able to read people
Yes.
like from a
now
while
that's where I am at.
and deal with
Yeah,
things.
that's
No,
where I am.
you're not there
I
yet.
am, you know what? No,
Because
not
you haven't
feeling
dealt
people.
with them.
No,
Have you dealt with the heartbreak?
Not a heartbreak, but not a
Heartbreaks
heartbreaks.
are bad.
Not heartbreaks, but I feel like I've dealt with where I wanted it to be something, but it wasn't.
That's okay.
That's
That's
alright.
nothing.
But you still feel like you've been taken advantage of. No, so you're
A
telling me it's hard.
heartbreak-
It's harder.
Shoo. When you see people, maybe when you saw your friends, maybe crying I'm doing this.
That's why I thought I'm never going to just run into it.
But I think you also need to kind of like go through it so that you don't really go like super crazy
Yeah.
when it actually happens to you.
Yeah.
Because that's also like, I think like the older you become, you're getting more responsibilities and stuff. And you really don't want that to happen to you when maybe let's say you are in a marriage situation and then you don't understand how you're supposed to handle it.
Yeah.
Because at times, when
marriage is permanent. It's like
it's
lifetime.
permanent.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. If you ask anyone, they'll tell you it's not easy. Couples quarrel all the time,
Oh my God, all the
disagreements
time.
and
Yeah.
everything, but they still manage to like kind of.
I think that's where, as I was telling you, you're talking about couples, yeah?
Yeah.
For me, I think the main, where you start thinking about relationships is how you've seen them when you're growing up.
Yeah.
So, and I was telling John before we continued
Yeah.
about my mom and dad,
Yeah.
the way it was a love marriage and they dated before they got married. And back in the day, that was not a thing.
Yeah.
Like, you
Yeah.
shouldn't do that. Arranged marriage was a
Yeah,
thing.
true.
So I've seen my mom and dad, they always act like a newly wed couple.
That's special.
And then, of course, fights are there. Come on, not everybody's, there's something.
Yeah.
But in the long term, when you see people living together and the understanding, even the age gap is a lot between my mom and dad, but the understanding, that's why for me, when I'm looking at a guy, I cannot explain to you everything. Even though I'm a story person, John, I'll write a whole paragraph to you telling you what I went through, like right now, this podcast.
Yeah.
If I go home and a friend asks me what happened, I'll write a whole paragraph.
Be like,
Yeah,
what?
but then
what-
imagine I write a whole paragraph and then they're like, that's nice.
No, yeah. Okay, no, I get you.
It's like I put all my energy and then there is, okay, I know I'm not supposed to I'm not supposed to expect something from somebody, but there's still you feel like, come on.
No, I know, but it's kind of like really tricky. If you've been in like relationships, like I've been through so much, like
Yeah,
just
I know, I'm sure.
things that I'm just like, So even at times, like nowadays, like if somebody like came to me and we are in a situation and they said like, you know what, I think we need to take a break. I'd be like, okay.
Seriously.
And then now they'd be upset, like, what? That's all you have to say? I'm like, what more do you want from me?
Say? Sorry, 1 minute.
Okay, it's all good. It's just because I don't know how I'm supposed to, like, I don't want those back and forths and just things that are not really necessary. Be like, okay, like this is a problem. How do we fix it?
Yeah.
Instead of us just
it's like
keep
we
going,
against the problem, not me and you against the problem.
Yeah. Or keep creating more problems now, and how we even supposed to solve it.
It's like there's a main problem, but instead of sorting out the main problem, everybody's like you two are sorting out the chini and maji.
It's kind of really tricky. But also, what do you think of just the new age? How like just people like link up? Because like for your situation, like the way you're saying, you haven't been in a relationship, but do guys slide in that DM? Yeah. How's your DM? How's your DM like? How's your DM like?
Private.
Yeah.
No, the thing is, there's okay. I'll be honest. Not like I don't get DMs all the time.
Yeah.
But you get people like liking your pictures and saying things. But for me, I think everybody's really afraid because I've created this persona. Like,
why?
Like no, not that you're afraid to approach me.
Yeah.
It's like she knows if we're gonna like mess with her.
She can see the BS. Yeah. She can smell the BS from far away.
Because I've seen people in relationships and I've been there in like people's long-term relationships, not like a third party, but like a person who knows what's happening.
Not a third party. We call it a third wheel.
I haven't been that. Sorry,
okay.
I haven't been that. But and people, I think, and also because I'm from a big family with a lot of cousins, and people know my cousins, and like they know we're a protected family, and like not protected like security wise, like
but it's just like I know what you mean, like even because like it's completely different, like just even from like the Indian community.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean.
You guys know each other.
Yeah,
like probably know all.
So that a guy before approaching me, he knows like this is my uncle, this is my dad.
Yeah.
So it's not like an outsider is approaching me from the community. Someone is approaching me, and then the person knows like if I'm not serious, there's no way I'm going to talk to this girl because she's not a person to play around with. Not with, but like I'm not going to text you back and forth. So we just
for the little just jokes to waste time basically.
And and it's if I was to talk to you for a few like months or something, I am interested in you, and I find it hard. To judge over text. That's why I keep telling you, like, for me, connection is everything. Like, we have to be in front of each other, and
And even for me at times, like, even just the online thing at times, it's just start talking with someone and everything. But if, like, we're not meeting, man, I won't keep wasting my time.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I'm just like, okay, we can just do this back and forth, texting, messages and everything.
Yeah.
Probably for, like, 2-3 weeks. Okay, a month. If we haven't met, like, come on, listen. I mean, not unless you're in a different country.
Yeah, that's different.
That makes sense. But if we're all in fact, not even a different province, we are all in Nairobi.
We're all
and we're not meeting.
The same country.
Yeah. So I mean, what's the point? Yeah. Why keep wasting my time, or you keep wasting my time? So.
But I also find it very hard.
But I always go out of my way and try and meet up.
But I find it hard to know when it's enough. Like when it's too much. Like, come on, tell me what you want. Be clear.
Yeah. Have you gone on dates?
Yes.
You have?
A few, yes.
And?
But I call them dates.
Yes, like
but it wasn't a date for like, or dates like in the sense just to get to know each other.
But you can know if this is a date.
Yeah.
Or if it's just like me meeting with a friend to eat like some.
No, I've been on a date where you go and you don't know the person, and this is like a formal thing. So it's like you have to bring that. You have to know each other. It's like a whole, a date. Yeah.
Jeez.
Is a movie date a date?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I've been to a couple of those. And nowadays, like even just asking somebody, and
it's
the thing
so
with
weird.
me,
it's like
no, for me it's not.
It's
by
so
the
weird.
That's
it's so
the thing,
casual.
because I've just done it way too many times.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'd ask somebody out. I'm not. First of all, I'm not afraid of being rejected. That's
wow.
one. I am not.
That's powerful.
I'm not. I'd rather I get
that.
like the no or the rejection, and then I know.
But you don't want to be in the floating waters when you're not sure.
I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste my time.
Yeah.
So I'm always like, do you want to go out like for a movie? Do you want to go out for a burger? Do you want to what's your thing? What do you want to go? But let's do something.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be in that place where you're like, I don't know what this is. Are we friends? Are we?
Yeah.
And then maybe today you're calling me babe. Maybe
Tomorrow, not.
tomorrow it's like
But you
BFF.
know,
So I mean, like, yo, where?
But have you ever come to those people
Yeah.
where if I'm treating nicely, you'll treat me nicely, but if I'm not treating you nicely, you won't treat me nicely?
Oh wait, say that again.
I'm treating you nicely, John,
Yeah.
so you'll treat me nicely. But
Yeah.
the day I decide not to call you nicely or to tell you something nicely, you won't tell me or call me nicely. You get?
Yeah, no,
It's
I
like
kind of.
it's what I do, you do for me, something like that.
No, okay, because like even for me, I'm always like I'll treat somebody
The way you want to be treated.
yeah, how I'd want to be treated. So first of all, respect. I'll give my time, attention, and stuff. But if I don't get that, I won't waste my
You won't
time.
waste your time.
Because now that's where now you're talking about like you
Yeah.
start feeling like, why am I doing all this?
This and not
Yet
getting
I'm-
anything.
Yeah,
isn't it?
and there's some people, unfortunately, who are like that. They're like, oh, what do you mean? Even though I'm not good to you, you're still supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the people are like that. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what? So I'm
we
still
have to be
supposed to be.
chill. We have to be chill.
Yeah.
Like, what is
I
being
mean,
chill?
no. I need to know like
You need
what are we
clarity.
doing? Yeah.
I know some people go mad, not
Yeah.
like not even mentally, but
Yeah.
they get angry because like, why are you not telling me? What is so hard? Are we gonna be somewhere in the future together?
Yeah.
Or we're not? It's
Yeah,
that
yeah.
simple.
Yeah.
But for some people, characters are different. The
Oh,
way
yeah.
your love language is, my love language is something
Completely
else.
different. Yeah.
So when I'm talking to my mom, my mom's my mental advisor, my everything.
Yeah.
And she always tells me, listen, you might be like all lovey-dovey, but the other person is not lovey-dovey. The other person has a different way of expressing their love.
Yeah.
So you just have to be patient and give space. But John, how long will you give that space and time?
Man,
now?
it's
How long?
No. For you, I'd just tell you like, you're lucky you haven't been in these situations
I
and
know.
stuff.
But there's
That's
some
a
people
good
must be
thing.
watching and be like, she's not been in a relationship. What
No,
does she
but
know?
some I have had like 2 more people, but this is just from Indian girls. Which I'm like, okay, you guys are actually doing a really good job. Your parents are doing a really
No.
great job.
But then my mom and dad are very open.
Yeah.
If they say whatever it is, please tell us. We don't want you to hide. And
So
do
you
anything.
have discussions with them about.
Not like discussion. Not that, if I've never had a boyfriend, but
Yeah.
if I was to have one
Yeah.
in the near future or the far
You'd
future,
be able to have
I would
like
tell
that
them.
discussion with them.
Because my mom and dad are those people. They're like more like friends to my friends. So like my neighbor, one of my neighbors, we've stayed in the same place for 7 years or something. My mom and him will have a full-on conversation about high school, about O levels, about you know.
Yeah.
So it's like, why not introduce my parents if they really want to get involved?
And
you
it's,
know?
I think it's just a good thing. I think the safest thing any parent would do right now is have that connection with their kid.
Exactly.
Because with these, like, mobile phones and everybody that people can be chatting with, like, on phone.
It's dangerous.
Oh, trust me, you'd want to have that bond with your kid so that you can just like, yo, mom,
And
I
for
need to go.
future as well. You don't
Yeah.
want your child to feel like they can't tell you anything, even though I'm not a parent. I'm just
Yeah.
saying from what my mom has told me.
Because even for me, I'm thinking about it like that. Like, if I have a daughter, wouldn't I want my daughter to be
and
able
you've
to...
said that before in the
Yeah,
podcast. Like
yeah.
you're kind of putting yourself in those shoes.
I'm always thinking about that because like even for me, I just know like if I have a kid, the first thing I'd be blessed with, it's gonna be a daughter.
Aw.
That I just know for sure.
Girls are
So
special.
I mean, I know that's gonna be thrown at me because like that's like a curve. Like okay,
Girl,
there you go. There's a good responsibility for you to start thinking about things.
all the black hair is gonna become white.
I'm telling you, it's kind of like one of those things that you really have to take a step back
Yeah.
and just think about like, okay, would I want my
Yeah.
daughter? Because when you're slightly younger, you don't pay attention to
Into
such
all this-
things.
Yeah, of course.
But at a certain age, you get, you're like,
You're like,
okay,
oh, now you're thinking about these things.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You know,
Would I want my daughter to be treated
Yeah,
like this? Would
exactly.
I want like a
or
son
your sister.
or sister? Yeah. Would I want them
Like
to be
the way you're
treated like
treating a
this?
lady today, you don't
I
want
wouldn't.
your sister to be treated like that.
And that's why I'm always saying, like, even if somebody treated me badly, tended badly, I would make sure the next person, I don't carry my baggage to the
of
next
course.
person.
You just have
I'll
to.
treat
The
them
past
the
is the past.
exact nice way.
You don't change because of
Mm-mm.
other people. You
Yeah.
don't. Because sometimes when you're like I'm in a friendship or something, because
Yeah.
I've been in many friendships and they've not turned out well because of differences or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
you shouldn't go to another friendship or get another friend and then expect them to do what it
They
doesn't work like
won't.
that.
It doesn't. Yeah.
But you asked me if I didn't want to, if I would want to be in a relationship.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. This is not a public announcement, but
Okay,
but
guys, you know the drill. Just slide in that DM.
but the thing is, yes, of course, sometimes you see a cute couple and like at cafe and
Yeah.
you're like, oh, that's so nice. But
I'd
you know,
want something like that.
from on top things are different from inside. Things are different.
Oh yeah,
And
this couple goals things that you
on
know.
Instagram, oh my god,
Ooh.
you've seen long-term couples who are married 10 years, they knew each other, they got married, and then they broke up.
Even YouTubers, like
Yeah.
popular, and this goes like from the States,
Yeah.
UK, all these places we see it happening
Happening.
over and over.
And then
But I like the mature ones who can actually like talk and
share their experience.
share the experience and say like, you know what, it hasn't worked out for us, but why don't we just
Be friends or something.
be friends,
Yeah.
or just figure out how
Yeah.
this can work, because we already have an audience.
Yeah.
We do this for a living.
Yeah.
Why not just be mature about it and still keep
Yeah,
rolling?
like you see some people breaking up, and the
Yeah.
other person has moved on, and the other person also moved on, but they are such great friends, and I feel like that's maturity at its height, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's kind of tricky, but you have to deal with it.
We have to do
Okay, now here's a plot twist. I always ask, like, all the Indian girls, I have to
Okay.
throw this question at them. If you've seen my podcast
I
enough
haven't
times,
seen
you.
the Indian girls one because they've
You
not
haven't?
released. No, Ekta was here. Yeah, Ekta's one you've not released.
Oh yeah. No, Ekta is like I did this. I'm kind of dropping it this week.
Oh, okay.
Been
so
doing
I'm
the
looking
snippets and
forward to
stuff.
that.
Yeah, and Ekta is just like a whole character for me. Like we're really good friends. So
But she's
she'll-
also Indian, so.
yeah, we're always talking like about so much. Every time we meet, we have 1-2 hour sessions.
Wow, that's great.
That's
isn't
why
it?
like the podcast was just important for me.
Okay, so you were saying
So,
you were asking Indian girls.
Cultural differences and everything. So what happens if somebody from, of course, a different community approaches you? How do you deal with that? Or have you, because I also understand it's like how you grow up.
Yeah.
Would you be comfortable just sticking to what, like, because like now even with social media, like there's so much interaction between so many different people.
Yeah.
Our parents, they didn't have that.
Oh,
They don't even
didn't.
know.
They don't even. Some of them don't understand Instagram till today.
My mom looks
Snapchat.
seeing
What is
like my
Snapchat?
pictures, she's like, where do you meet all these people?
I know.
Where are they from?
Yeah, which
I'm
world
like,
are they
I'm
from?
like, all these people are Kenyans. First of all,
Oh.
they're all Kenyans. So she still doesn't understand, like how like we all just bump
Work
into
and
each
how
other and everything.
exactly.
Yeah. So somebody from a different community, of course, most controversial communities when they meet together.
It's like
And
a
they-
public affair.
Yeah. Oh, it's always like on the headlines. You know that. Like anytime like an Indian girl dates like a Kenyan, like just regular Kenyan.
I
It's
like
always
that you
like,
looked at your skin.
oh
I
yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
Oh no, I always have to say like this is always like front page, and the press guys love that. They always blast it like,
Gossip.
they always blast it like on the full page and everything. But how do you deal with that? Have you ever thought about being in such a situation, or how would you deal with that?
No, personally no, because
Uh-huh.
for me from day one it's always been I want to get somebody from my own culture.
Yeah.
But with that said,
Yeah,
all my best friends are either from different. All of them are from different cultures.
yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I have a Spanish, Luo,
Yeah.
everything Hindi,
Yeah,
everybody. I
Yeah.
know. I
Yeah.
literally, but I get this in the hotel industry a lot.
Mhm.
Like always, like, would you
Yeah.
date a Kenyan man? Would you marry a Kenyan man? I'm
Yeah.
like, listen, they're human.
Because you see
But-
these conversations, it's just
Yeah.
because like at times when we are
It's like
in,
suspense, isn't it? Like
It
you guys
is.
don't know.
yeah, it's just because if you think about it, like those are discussion. I have friends who like I know like they hang out and everything, but they never have these conversations. And then somehow you can kind of like tell, okay, this person, I think they're dating this person, and this person is dating this person, and
You're just shocked.
I'm not shocked.
Uh-huh.
It's just because like people never want to talk
Yeah,
about
yeah, I
it,
agree. You know why? Because
or they do it in secret. Kind of.
it's like
You get what I mean?
intercultural. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, there are a few of my cousins
Yeah.
who were got married to like Hindus. Like I haven't even told you.
You're a
I'm
Sikh?
Yeah, I'm a Sikh.
I know.
You
Come
know,
on,
you
do
know
my
because of my
research.
name. Come on.
No, listen, it's on your bio.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, it's
I'm
at
open
least
book,
it's
huh?
the first thing that no. Like bio just gives me like,
You're meeting your friends.
guys, we had to take a small
Small
break,
break.
small break, because I had like there's a guest who's coming in the podcast. I just had to grab them,
Yeah.
have that
It's
briefing.
an in the moment thing.
Yeah, you have to. At times, you just have to attack them when you can.
So you can.
Secure that interview.
Interview.
Yeah. So yeah, back to
Uh-huh.
the question that we were talking about.
Yes, you were asking me about the intercultural thing.
Yeah.
And actually, surprisingly, I don't know why I failed to mention this, but when I was in high school, I was with all Somalis.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
And I know them so well, and I interact with them so well. So some of the guys over there would ask me, could you get married to a Somali? You'd be fine.
Yeah.
I was like, and then we would laugh it off.
Yeah.
But honestly, I respect all cultures and I don't mind. You can do I'm just open to everything.
Yeah.
But for me personally,
Yeah.
I would accept everything. But for me personally, I really want to get married to somebody who's from the same community.
Yeah.
Because for me, I'm thinking I want my kids to just be neutral, like.
And Kwanzaa, like the relative, it's never even about
it's
you
about
guys.
the society. People
It's
think of
always
society.
the relatives that you have to deal with. Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
it's always like, because like now the problem with, like, for me at least, I mean, my relatives are not that close, like in my life.
Yeah, huh?
Like
But
for me,
Indian, we don't have a choice. Even if
Yeah.
you're not close with
Oh
them.
yeah,
even if
yeah.
you're close
Oh
with them.
yeah. No, I know.
Disclaimer: everybody cares about your life.
No, I know. But I'm just saying, for like my case, like I'm always dating like so many different kind of
but
people.
that's good, isn't it?
It is a good
very
thing. It
good.
is a good thing. But I'm just always thinking. Like,
I've interacted with all kinds of people, but
Yeah.
for me, that relationship wise, not. Yeah.
But I always know, like, the hardest part is always like I'm always thinking like, okay, now you know your relatives, because mine are not a problem because they're not that close
Yeah,
anyway.
exactly.
So it's not a
So
problem.
you're always telling the girl, you should handle your own relatives.
Yeah, because I'm like, trust me, because like I'm the least person you'd expect, because like first of all, like I'm a freelance, I'm an artist and
yeah.
everything. So even when they ask like, what
do they do?
what do they do? How do you explain what do
Yeah.
I do? Let's see.
But what do you
let's
care
see.
about age gap?
Sorry.
Let's talk about age gap, because we're talking about
Oh yeah.
relationships.
Mhm.
So that's the main factor. What do you think? Should a girl be older than you, younger than you? How many years is okay with
I
you?
mean, I wouldn't date like necessarily a guy who's older than me, not unless we really clicked in a very different way. But definitely, I wouldn't go. But I do have people who actually target women who are older.
Wow, okay.
And that to me is just like, I'm sure it's like something that happened to them when they were kids. At times it's actually like a factor. It's triggered by something they were
Childhood,
experiencing.
yes, yeah, of course.
Mostly sexual abuse as well.
Wow, yeah. That's
Yeah,
powerful,
and for
isn't
most guys it's like, house helps messed with them or something.
Wow.
And I talked to somebody on the podcast who went through that as well.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's also about to
It's
be
all
released.
life, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's just kind of tricky, especially for guys. For women, I do understand. That's just slightly different, because like we're talking about like how women mature faster
Than men, yeah.
even just through
The whole life
society,
thing, yeah.
responsibilities and stuff. Like, okay, let's think about like maybe guys that you're with in school. What's like their mind frame, like kind of like right now?
The ones who I know who was the
Personally,
smart.
like
Yes,
you
yes.
were with like in the same class and everything. Are they talking about the same things like work,
Let me tell
responsibility,
you something.
settling
You know,
down
they're
and
gonna watch
everything?
this,
I think you're even
but
starting to laugh.
listen, they're gonna watch this, but
Yeah.
none of them are in college. They're not even in college or university. Like they're all in. They're just struggling between things.
Chilling,
Some are
playing.
in colleges and some are,
But nothing is on that serious kind of level
no,
where
they're
the
just
way
some
you're
of them
talking,
are doing A levels. Some are trying to figure things out.
Yeah.
But like
trying to
if I
think of
talk
what
about-
they'll pursue.
Yeah. So for me, when they look at me or they meet me, even though we don't talk, like,
Yeah.
but when they see me there, it's like I know that they have that defense thing.
Yeah.
Like she's there already, so she doesn't.
Yeah.
But I'm not like that. I agree that everybody has their different path. Like,
Yeah.
maybe you don't know what you want to do in life.
It's not even that, like just women in general, just from society and everything,
Yeah.
and your surrounding, you'll always find yourself maturing
Maturing
faster. Because
faster,
even
yeah.
let's say even if like a lady walks into a restaurant, like how many guys from different age groups would start like hitting on
Attracting
her?
her, yeah.
Like so many. Like so you have like this guy who's being talked to by like a 25-year-old, 30-year-old,
Yeah.
35, 40, 50, 60, and even some 70-year-olds.
Yeah,
They're still like
imagine.
throwing their game. You
They're
see?
still game on, isn't
So
it?
mind-wise, she'll after a while, like 2, 3, 4 years, she's definitely like known how to handle
The
and
other
talk to
situations,
so many
yeah.
different people, kind of. But to me, I'm just guessing like, I think from around, I think government approved. That's it. There's nothing you can do.
Government,
Yeah,
that's true.
because
That's
after
true.
government has approved you,
Yeah, that's it.
like everything else, like if you get married, if you go and buy alcohol,
Do you know, let
like
me
they're
tell you
saying
with
it's
Indians, because you were
yeah.
asking me about the Indians, the
Yeah.
Indian perspective, yeah?
Yeah.
Because people don't talk about it. But
Yeah.
nowadays, you see people do court marriages before they actually do the Indian wedding.
Mhm.
Because, of course, some people get married to people outside of Kenya.
Yeah.
So you need to get the paperwork for there. You need
Oh,
to get
before
the,
now-
before
yeah.
you get like before you actually move there. So
Yeah.
they decide to get court marriage like a year before, and then they're already married. They're already husband and wife by law.
Yeah.
But now for the Indian marriage, they have to wait till everything is ready there for them, so that they can get married in like traditionally and go. So it depends on the whole like society, how you're brought up, and what you think about the Indian marriage. Some people just don't even want an Indian marriage. Some people just want the wedding and a party for people. That's it. Some people just get married, you, me,
Would you
my
say-
dad and my mom, and
Yeah.
their mom and dad, and then we throw a party for the society.
Just keep it like simple.
Simple. Yeah. Some people don't like grand weddings, but some people like grand weddings. They call people from UK to sing at their wedding.
Yeah.
You know, that happens so
Yeah.
much.
Oh
from
no,
UK,
your,
from America.
your weddings are insane.
Yeah, I was just telling you.
Seen the
when on
big
the
weddings?
break, well,
Yeah.
on the break, I was telling you that our weddings go 10 days. Not like.
No, but even just the decor and
yeah,
everything that you
yeah.
guys like put into it, like
Business.
it's a lot.
a lot of
It's
business
a lot.
to a lot of people.
Oh yeah, a lot of
Food
business.
and
Oh,
the
man.
food and the decor and the clothes and the music. It's always a good thing.
Like I'm sure if like you're good at what you do in an Indian wedding,
A lot
like,
of money.
oh,
There's a lot of money in that business. Yeah.
money. 10 days. Be like, let me be organizer
Decor,
for 10
decor.
days. Deco,
You know, the
food,
10
everything.
days is for like the close family.
Yeah.
So it's like the close family have to do so many things in 10 days. But like when you're inviting people, you only invite them for like the pre-wedding and the wedding and the reception. But the rest of the things, they are like ceremonies that people believe in. So, but by the holy book and everything, it just has to, the marriage is what is important. At
That's the
temple.
most important thing. Yeah.
The rest is evolved with time. People want to do it. And you know, it's more of enjoyment, celebration.
And it's not a bad thing because like even this day and age, after that session, what's the next time that you're going to meet some of these people?
And you know, actually, my mom's best friend came down
Yeah.
recently after 20 years to Nairobi because of a wedding.
Yep.
So it's like 30 of them came together for a wedding.
Yeah.
And you're like, what?
It's that one time period.
Period
Maybe
for-
to them it's like vacation or
Yeah.
something, but they still get to connect with you
Yeah.
guys. And then after that,
That's
it might
it.
just be for the longest time before
Yeah.
they bump into. But since we're still talking about that, what's your thoughts on like just age? Is there like an age specific difference that you wouldn't?
I wouldn't agree to.
Yeah.
I wouldn't agree for the guy to be younger than me. Unless you really click. I think everybody, if you really click, then it doesn't
yeah.
matter.
Yeah, yeah.
But
yeah.
I feel like 4 to 5 years.
4 to 5 years.
Yeah. If
Okay.
it's 2 or 3, it's okay. But
Yeah.
it has to be there because I can't be dating somebody who doesn't already know like work and career. Okay.
Yeah.
I can. I mean, everybody evolves. Some
Yeah.
people don't even know what they're doing.
It's kind of
It's kind of depends.
No, it's different because I had there's somebody I was seeing, and you know, when I met them, they were explaining to me just because of the cultural differences and stuff. They were telling me how like their mom got them when they were 14.
Oh, what?
Listen.
Wow. My mom got me when she was 20.
Yeah, listen.
I thought that was too young.
I can't make this up, man. I can't make this up. So yeah, the mom got them when they were 14. So,
Listen, everybody to their own, but you know,
so listen, when she told me her mom's age, I was just like, what the hell?
those
man?
are like best friends.
Yeah, they're just like sisters, man. They are like sisters. Like if you see her and the mom, they're sisters. They are
The
sisters.
same
If
way
you look
people
at them,
say when they see me and my mom, we're sisters.
yeah, like when they come somewhere and they're just talking and everything, be like, yeah, who's your friend? You wouldn't spot like that whole.
Yeah.
So it was just like kind of tricky, but also like just
Now you see,
eye-opening as well.
that opens your mind to like how people's
Yeah.
lives are back in the day, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I mean even some
Even
still
today, yeah.
till
You
this
know-
day. There's some listen. We won't get to
Too
it
deep
until
to
I
it.
bring somebody who can actually like explain to
Vouch
me.
for it. Us,
Yeah,
we're
I
just
can vouch
talking
for
about
it.
what we know.
Yeah, because like even like in Tanzania, it's kind of like slightly different. It's really different in all different communities. So I'll bring somebody who can like just talk about
vouch for that, isn't it?
Yeah, and give you like actually facts
Details.
about it. Yeah.
And
'Cause
what it
there's some
is like
people
to
are
live like that.
Some people be like, what, a 20-year-old? What? Too young.
There's nothing like too young. Do you believe in that?
What?
Too young.
Yes.
I disagree.
Wait, what are you saying?
You know, no, too young to get a child is a different thing.
Yeah.
But because you need to be ready, of course, to get a child, to have a responsibility. But you cannot tell me you're too young to get married to somebody you love.
What are you saying?
Listen, I've seen people.
Guys, are you listening? This is not coming from my mouth, guys.
Listen.
You see?
All I'm saying is, yes, some people are too young, like they don't know. They
We're,
don't have a
we're talking
job.
of consent, first of all, has to
Consent.
be,
It has
right?
to be there. But
They,
I mean,
they
I've
have to
seen-
be 18.
I've seen in my culture,
Yeah.
two people who are, one is 21, one is 22. They're married and now they're
Oh, yeah.
so happy
No, that's,
together.
Yeah,
isn't
yeah.
it?
No, that's okay. But I think also getting married at like 20.
It's too young.
Too young.
But to be in a relationship, is it too young?
No.
No, then.
No, I mean,
then
no.
What do you mean? It's the same
Okay,
thing.
marriage is just
marriage is like a commitment.
Marriage is
long-term
the
commitment.
next step, especially like that's what I'm saying. Like even for guys, are they mature enough to be able to handle like
22
marriage,
or something,
marriage, and when the kid comes in the picture, are they
and
mature enough to be able to deal with that?
I agree.
Are they ready to just put the video games aside a bit, just a bit, and start taking like just responsibilities? Yeah. But also like age gap. Like nowadays, it's kind of crazy because with tourists coming in the country, I know people who are seeing people who are like 20 years older than them. Yeah, so I mean,
and celebrities getting
to
married.
each his own,
and getting like 20 years.
And the government has approved. So who am I?
Yeah.
Who am I here to start saying that? You know what? I think this is not.
But
right.
everybody has an opinion, isn't it?
Yeah. And even nowadays, like just love can just get weird. If people love each other and they think they have ideas.
Yeah, exactly.
I just want to get in their business because I don't want to be traumatized with other people's affairs. Yeah.
But I don't think you can be, John. You have such a solid mindset. Because
already like I bump into so many different people who believe in so many different things.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like tricky to
get
you kind of like respect
with experiences.
You respect with experiences you respect and just like
you sometimes you feel you see things you're like you can do that. I respect that, but personally
for me I wouldn't. So I don't know because we were talking with like just my friend who I told you like she's from Tokyo.
Yeah.
And she's also going to see this podcast and we were just talking about how before she started traveling, she just her dream was to get married, and that was it.
God.
So she goes to Canada, she studies and starts seeing different cultures. Like, oh, I can have an opinion as a woman.
Oh wow!
I don't have to stay at home and do this, and this. And it was just, I was just
you
laughing.
Were like really
I was laughing the whole time. And then now she starts talking and she's like, oh, like even just Kenyan. It's kind of like the Japanese culture is kind of like similar to like the Kenyan culture, and I know how we are expected to respect our men and everything.
It's like
so
all
she's
like gender equality now.
Oh yeah, she's like we respect our men. That's culturally it's supposed to be there. And then she's like even like I've noticed that about Kenyan women, they respect our men. I was laughing. I was just
you
like,
were
what?
Like mind blown.
I was like, what do you mean?
I think you thought her to be more advanced from you because she's coming from that background. But then when you met her, you're like culturally shocked. Like, what? Someone is like thinking like this?
Yeah. But then again, she was just like, I was just like, no, just stay around a little bit longer and stuff and see. Yeah. I was just like, it's just interesting, but it's good to know that somebody's expecting this, and this is what they're trying to see about this culture. Yeah. They have this interpretation.
You can just see the growth in people.
Yeah, but it's just interesting, and that's why just with culture and everything, I'm glad that we can actually just sit down and have a conversation without it freaking people out. Like, oh my god, did they mention? What?
I've always said I'm such an open person.
Yeah.
And even when you bring out this podcast, I'm sure we'll have forgotten what we talked about.
Listen,
but
I remember
you're a busy man.
Hector was just telling me like, I hope I didn't say anything. I'm like, listen, I also don't remember, but we have to put it out. We have to put it out.
Yeah, but I feel like when it comes out, we'll both be different mindsets.
For sure.
But we'll be glad at least.
But we'll be glad we had this conversation because that's what we feel at this moment, and the conversation is just like authentic. There are no scripts here. We just exchanging.
He doesn't have a book and paper today.
Now today we just said we're gonna wing it, but you see, we kind of like worked it out.
We did. Yeah.
So since we've just touched on that relationship, that's the love segment. We've touched on that. As we're just wrapping up like the podcast, let's just touch a bit on just mental health.
Yes.
And especially now with the like new generation, definitely social media plays a big part of that. Yeah. Do you feel the pressure? Does social media get to you, just your mental well-being? How do you balance it out? How does it not push you to that place where you think like it's just too much? Yeah, or how do you deal with it?
Social media, I've heard so many people talk at podcasts and so many people talk about it. And actually, let me talk about something that when you were talking about what came first to my mind was I read somewhere there's a guy from Kisumu. He is in a college and he just developed an app where people can go, and it's like an app for people who just an app to anybody can log into this app, and it's full of counselors. So it's an app for people who have depression, who want to talk about stuff.
Yeah.
So it's an app where people can go and talk, and it's all anonymous, and no one will know. And when I was reading about this, I was like, wow, like we've come to that point where we need, even though it's a great idea, like hats off to him and stuff, he's doing a good job.
Yeah.
But we've come to that point where we need an app to talk about our problems.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, I've not dealt with depression, but I've dealt with a situation where a lot of external factors have influenced what I feel inside, and have also made me feel in a certain way where I don't deserve to feel in a certain way. Yes, and it's very hard. And social media, it can play two roles. Either it can make you feel shit about your life,
Oh yeah.
or otherwise, or the other part, it can help you educate that you're not the only one in this. There are a lot of people who are in college struggling, wondering, if they'll get through it, or what will they get a job, and and certain problems. But also there's image. How a certain way you should look, a certain way you should travel, a certain phone you should have. All these things play a major role.
You're taking pictures in nice, expensive hotels.
Yeah, in cars.
I personally just tell people, listen, if you see me in a hotel, my client paid for it.
Yeah.
So don't get no pressure. It just comes with the work and everything. Some of the benefits are that. And even just with doing food reviews and stuff, I get to go eat places. Most of the time, I'm not paying for anything. Wow. But it's just like people don't understand that. It's all good. It's just that people don't understand. And because at least even if you're typing, like people who are listening on the iTunes, so I can still have the conversation going. So people just need to detach or understand like just what's reality and what's going on Instagram doesn't necessarily mean that's this person's life.
It's true.
Yeah. So
and it can be a good thing, to educate people that there's this location and there's these facilities and there's these companies. And it can be an educational factor for so many people, like companies. I don't work for anybody, but I mean, like, I really dive into online businesses. Like even the cardigan I'm wearing right now is from an online creator. She imports them and she sells them, and like my watches.
Is it about the sustainable fashion thing?
No. She just has her own page.
Oh, okay.
So I feel like Instagram is also where people open businesses and they run from it, and so that's why I'm saying it can be two-way. Facebook, even people make money out of Facebook, like making the advertisements. So it's a two-way thing. But I've also seen cyberbullying, and where people are really traumatized. And thankfully, I've never been a victim of that. And I've seen some of my friends getting, and it's really not nice. So it's a two-way thing. You can take it in a certain way. You can, let it be. I've seen people who put their accounts on mute. And they get off things, and they say it's a break. And I'm like, if you need it, that's for you. Or
people just even deactivate just for a couple of months and then come back. But you see, it just means like there's kind of like pressure that can get to you. But for me, I just try not to. And that's nowadays, I just focus on like just my content. How am I growing myself and everything? Because once you get swallowed in, it might just get into deep. Because I've had people also in the podcast who've come and they're going through depression just because of social media. And they're actually like on meds and all those kind of things. And it's just a good thing that they're talking about it so that you understand like, it can actually get really serious. So just pay attention so that you...
Yeah, and also I feel like everything, some people, they captivate themselves in it so much. And I know it's not willingly and it's really horrible, but talking about it really helps. That is what I've heard from.
It does.
One of my close friends also has depression. And she also is on meds. But it's a recent thing. And when as her friend for so many years, I think about it like, wow.
You couldn't see that coming.
And I felt so bad because I was like,
this is your friend.
Oh my God, this is my friend and I love her and she's an amazing person. And, if I could have done something, you start thinking of these things.
I could have been there to actually make a difference.
But she always tells me, no, it was not I needed people. It was that I wasn't talking about things. And things were in my mind. Some past childhood events are coming to me and they've been with me. I've never accepted those things. And you kind of feel like, wow. Sometimes you just say, thank God for everything I haven't been through,
Let's just wind up the podcast because I think we can go clearly.
Clearly we've talked about everything.
We can really go on and on and on. So I normally ask everybody at the end of the podcast one question. What's the one thing that you think you're in pursuit of right now? And if like you got it, it would give your life kind of like a meaning, direction, give you like a sense of more happiness, perhaps?
Okay.
What's that one thing you think that you're in pursuit of?
I feel like definitely is to graduate college, hopefully to graduate, and
just stay off the drugs. You'll be good. You'll be good.
Alcohol.
And alcohol. Don't touch.
So
Not to drugs.
never. So I think that would be it. Graduating and hopefully getting a stable job, even if it's not a senior position, even if it's a junior position or anything, at least to get
let's aim high. Let's aim high. Yeah, I know.
So it's just like graduation,
but
and
just
a job.
something that will give you like kind of like fulfillment to what you're currently studying.
I feel like after studying for so many years, I feel like at least I should be able to use my skill, because I know I have it, and I know I'm really hardworking, and I can get whatever I put my mind to. And so if I really do get a job and I really do well, I feel like I can get somewhere. So I think that's the long. If I really get a job and I do good, I think that for me would be lifetime achievement. Like I would really get, especially my parents. I think my parents would be really happy.
Oh yeah. I also don't want them to look at it like we did all this.
And then
how come she's not even happy with what we tried to actually
push her towards?
Yeah. So I mean that
I think that's
sense.
Always, because both my parents do whatever they love. One is in construction, one is in sales. So I know that if I do what I love, I'm gonna go far.
Yeah, because you also see their drive. You see their drive.
And they go to work no matter they're hangover. My dad goes to work even if he comes whatever time. He'd go to work in the morning. You know determination, because you know that end of the day, this is what I love doing and it's my job. That's it. It's not about the money. It's not always about the money. It's about
money helps, but it's once as you grow older, it's not just about the money. And there was somebody I saw like on the podcast, I shared something on my Insta stories, and somebody was saying like you have to be able to understand what you want and what you need. You'd say I want a car, you get a car.
But do you really need it?
No, not even that. Like, okay, and then you're just like, okay, I want something.
What will I do with it?
Yeah.
I think that's the human
And then you
nature.
already have it, and you still don't have that satisfaction.
Yeah.
You thought it was going to bring you, and then you're just like, okay, what else do I want? I want a big house. Get the big house. And then you're like, okay, so what else do you want?
So materialistic things.
Yeah. So, but if you start satisfying maybe things that you need, you'll kind of like reduce the pressure of like all these just superficial demands.
I don't know if we're in the end, but I wanted to say something to people. I feel like we all need to keep in mind that we can only control, even you said this earlier, you can only control your actions and what you do and how that's going to affect people around you and certain circumstances. You can't control other people. We in our life, we always, and I know as Indians, and I wouldn't say this, like of course all human nature, we try and other people, people we build our whole life around it. What other people do, what other people say. For me, it's taken a long time, and I've told you my life has been short, so I can't say much. But I with experience, I'd say just do you, be you, because end of the day, it's only going to be you. You came alone, will go alone.
Hey, that's a nice way of putting it. But we don't want to think of when we are going. For now. Let's save that
for another day.
So interesting. So I think we have to come to the end of the podcast. We've talked and
we can go on and on.
But just thank you so much for reaching out. I hope like the podcast was like something that you expected and it went well.
I can't wait for people to hear it.
Oh yeah, trust me, they'll listen. They'll listen to it somehow, one way or another, whether they like it or not. It's gonna be all over their faces.
But thank you, John, for having me, and thank you for replying to my DM. I slided it.
And I wish you nothing but the best in just like your journey and everything that you're trying to.
I can't wait for you to become famous, and then I tell people I know you.
Give it time.
You're already famous, but you know what I mean.
No, I know what you mean. Like ABC famous. Netflix famous.
Oh, what do you mean? BBC, not even ABC.
Oh, no, I said Netflix.
Oh, okay. Hey. Showmax.
Showmax, Netflix.
Anyways,
We'll get there. Baby steps. Is there anything else you have going on? Where can people find you?
Okay, so you can find me on Instagram, Juspreeet _Manku . Last it has to be a full stop.
You want guys to slide in the DM? Or
I love it. No, thank you. Has to be genuine, okay?
Just keep it genuine, or for projects or any questions related to hotel industry, hospitality.
I'd love to help you guys out.
So at least you have somebody who's here and they can always answer those questions directly. So guys, just as usual, make sure you subscribe. iTunes, YouTube, podcast, Apple Podcast, Castbox for Android users. We're actively there every single day. And at the end of the week, you get the full episode. Thanks for listening. Thanks for supporting the Kiss Capades podcast. Goodbye.
Thank you.